The purpose of E1 is to confirm that baseline safeguards are present and functioning for common threats. It serves teams that need credible assurance quickly, especially when engaging new customers who require a basic but trusted readout. A helpful way to think about it is table stakes done right. If a company cannot show essentials like managed endpoints, controlled access, and basic monitoring, other promises will not matter. E1 provides that confidence without overwhelming smaller teams. It also creates a clean on-ramp for programs that plan to progress to deeper assessments later. By anchoring on practical essentials, E1 reduces risk while accelerating vendor onboarding.
The scope of E1 centers on core practices that reduce the most common and preventable problems. It expects clarity about what systems and data are in play and requires controls that address identity, devices, vulnerabilities, backups, and logging at a sensible baseline. The idea is coverage over spectacle. Controls should be present where they count, not only where they are easy to demonstrate. Tailoring is straightforward, with an emphasis on including the systems that handle sensitive information and the services that support them. Teams document boundaries clearly so reviewers can follow the thread from requirement to control to artifact. When the scope is honest and tight, E1 results feel meaningful and durable.
Evidence and timelines at E1 favor speed with structure. Reviewers still need objective proof, but the volume is tuned so smaller teams can deliver it without stalling operations. Screenshots include system names and timestamps, exports show filters and date ranges, and approvals or tickets linked to the specific change under review. The goal is to collect once and reuse cleanly across similar asks. Timelines are set to move engagements forward without creating long gaps that force repeated pulls. A reliable rhythm, such as collecting representative samples from the recent period, keeps evidence fresh and believable. This balance turns E1 into a practical instrument instead of another paperwork burden.
The purpose of I1 is to demonstrate that controls are not only present, but broadly implemented and sustained. It suits organizations that need stronger assurance for customers handling sensitive data or operating in regulated contexts. I1 asks teams to move beyond "we have it somewhere" to "it works across the estate." That shift requires more disciplined inventories, clearer role definitions, and consistent enforcement patterns. The level is particularly useful when a buyer wants confidence that a vendor's practices will hold up under change, not just during a single audit week. In short, I1 upgrades the signal from basic hygiene to reliable operation at scale. The scope at I1 expands across systems, users, and environments, and it expects implemented requirements to be traceable end-to-end. If a standard defines multi-factor access for administrators, reviewers expect to see it working across all in-scope admin accounts, not only a pilot group. Procedures are documented with enough detail that a new teammate could follow them without guessing. Configuration baselines are defined and enforced rather than merely suggested. Exceptions exist, but they are recorded, time-bound, and risk-assessed. This level rewards consistency, which in turn reduces surprises during testing and makes the program easier to maintain between cycles.
Evidence depth at Depth 1 increases because assertions now cover more ground. Sampling plans explain populations, selection methods, and timing windows so results are representative. Logs and dashboards include attribution, so a reviewer can verify that a control is doing what it claims. Where possible, metrics show that the control is producing the expected outcome, not only that a switch is flipped. For example, password settings are verified across directories, and privileged reviews show actual approvals tied to users and dates. The extra depth is not about volume for its own sake. It is about making conclusions sturdy enough that different reviewers would reach the same result. That reliability is what buyers are paying attention to. The purpose of R2 is to provide the highest level of confidence through risk-based scoping, detailed testing, and structured scoring. R2 fits organizations with complex systems, sensitive workloads, or significant downstream obligations to customers and regulators. It expects the program to show maturity across policy, procedure, implementation, measurement, and management, not just initial deployment. This is where narratives, mappings, and cross-references become critical because the environment is too large to evaluate informally.
R2 is demanding, but it repays the effort by producing outputs that stand up to scrutiny from sophisticated stakeholders. It is the level teams choose when assurance must remove doubt at scale. Tailoring and scoping for R2 begin with a clear picture of data types, business processes, and platforms, including what is inherited from providers. Factors such as exposure, transaction volume, and connectivity drive which controls apply and at what rigor. The aim is not maximalism. It is fit for risk, explained with enough detail that reviewers agree it is sensible. Shared responsibility is documented so no gap opens between what a platform promises and what the customer must configure or monitor. By treating scope as a risk artifact, R2 ensures that effort is concentrated where it matters most, and that the story is defensible if challenged.
Sampling and scoring strategy at R2 turn evidence into repeatable judgments. Sampling uses methods that balance randomness and risk focus, ensuring both coverage and attention to high-impact areas. Scoring reflects maturity across dimensions, such as being documented, being performed, being measured, and being managed, with each step supported by objective evidence. A control may be implemented but score lower if measurement is missing, which is useful because it guides improvement instead of hiding gaps. The combination of explicit sampling and transparent scoring creates a result that is not only thorough but also explainable to non-specialists. That transparency speeds acceptance and reduces rework.
Deliverables across all three levels include recognizable items such as certification letters, detailed reports, and listings that confirm status. The letter is the quick proof many stakeholders ask for first. The report provides the full narrative, control-level results, and evidence summaries. Listings or registries make it easy to confirm scope, versions, and dates without reading the entire report. These outputs are designed to be shared outside the assessment room, so clarity, attribution, and dating matter. When maintained carefully, they become a reusable kit for vendor reviews, board updates, and contract renewals, turning one assessment into many saved hours later.
Choosing a path depends on drivers such as buyer expectations, data sensitivity, internal maturity, and timeline pressure. If a team needs credible assurance in weeks to unlock a contract, E1 is often the right starting point. If customers expect broader implementation proof across the environment, I1 matches that need. If the organization carries high-impact workloads or faces complex scrutiny, R2 provides the depth required. Another driver is growth planning. Some teams start with E1 to establish rhythm, move to I1 as baseline stabilize, and target R2 when measurement and management are strong. The best choice is the one that meets real demands without overextending the program.
In summary, the differences among E1, I1, and R2 are about depth, breadth, and proof, not about competing philosophies. Start with why assurance is needed. Pick the level that satisfies the decision in front of you, and design scope so effort concentrates on actual risk. Use E1 to establish foundational trust quickly. Use I1 to demonstrate reliable operation across the estate, and use R2 to provide comprehensive, risk-based confidence with transparent scoring. Keep evidence clean, sampling fair, and outputs shareable so one pull answers many questions. When teams select thoughtfully and sequence deliberately, assurance becomes a steady part of how they work, not a scramble at the end.